Alright, what's up everybody? Hope you guys can see me. I know it's a little dark. And I just want to pre-apologize. I'm sure that there's going to be things I'm going to forget to say. When I make these videos, I usually just go kind of somewhat off the top of the dome. I don't usually prepare too much. I just kind of think of a topic and I just kind of go with it. So usually there's things that I may, forget to say or whatever. And so I'm going to just try to go into it. But first and foremost, I just want you guys to know I'm not trying to necessarily pick at a certain person. I'm not trying to say that you're necessarily biased or a fanboy if you like a certain console and this thing. I'll get more into that in the video, but I just want to kind of say this first, because I'm sure I already know I'm about to get either some messages either on PSN or some messages on YouTube or some comments up on YouTube from somebody probably arguing with me or trying to correct me on something or getting getting mad at what I'm about to say. But I'm just go ahead and get into this. I actually wrote down a couple little things, just a couple of topics, just so I can remember. I normally don't do this, but I just want to make sure I at least hit a few topics. But there was this video I was watching probably about last week or something like that. I forget whose video it was, but basically he was saying that PlayStation fans or PlayStation fanboys or whatever, saying that a lot of PlayStation gamers, mainly the PS3, that they get too many excuses and kind of I forget what word he used, but basically he was saying how like when the PS3 exclusive doesn't sell, especially for example he's talking about this year 2011, how certain PS3 exclusives didn't sell that well and stuff like that, and he was saying that PS3 gamers were just making excuses as to why it wasn't selling, because basically in his video he was saying how there was probably about a good 10 exclusives or so that came out this year for the PS3, and how 360 basically had about 2 exclusives. I'm not including motion only based games, talking about non-motion only games. And he's saying that there was about 2 360 exclusives and roughly about 10 PS3 exclusives that came out this year. And he's saying how he's tired of these PS3 fans basically making up excuses as to why certain PS3 exclusives don't sell. And he was talking about how I guess a lot of PS3 gamers were saying, the reason why every single PS3 exclusive didn't sell millions and millions of copies this year because there were so many exclusives on top of course, the multi-platform games. And not everybody's made out of money, so people had to kind of pick and choose what games. He was bringing up, I think, Infamous 2, and saying Infamous 2 didn't sell that much or as much as what he thinks is a lot, I guess, compared to something like Uncharted 3 or something like Gears 3, which is exclusive to the 360. And he was saying how a lot of PS3 games basically were saying the reason why something like Gears 3, for example, sold so much is because that was basically the main exclusive game for the 360 that came out this year, 2011. Whereas the PS3, you had your Infamous 2s, your Little Big Planet 2, Uncharted 3s, Motorstorm, Soulcom, Killzones, Resistance 3, stuff like that, and various other games. So people kind of had to pick and choose and this, that, and the other. And then he was saying, that's not an excuse. You PC gamers couldn't say that. And here's what his reasoning was. And this is really what I want to get into the video. This video really isn't much about 360. And once again, I know you guys are going to say something negative, which everybody's open to their opinions. I be going ham on y'all sometimes too. But that's another reason why I want to make this video. But the main point of this video I want to make was because dude was mainly actually talking about Nintendo gamers and PlayStation gamers. And he was saying it basically that PS3 gamers can't use that as an excuse to why certain PS3 games didn't sell, just for the fact that there was more exclusives that came out this year than on the 360. And he said that can't be an excuse because he started using Nintendo as an example. And he's like, well, look, Nintendo's got all their, first party exclusives, a whole bunch of them, and yet they're some of the highest selling games ever. And he's basically using that excuse, saying that basically isn't the reason, why certain PS3 exclusives this year didn't sell a lot. Once again, I don't know what his definition of selling a lot is, because you look back at games previous generations and what they sold. If you compare a lot of those games to now, a lot of folks would probably say that those games didn't sell a lot, which they did, but just to today's standards, I guess if you sell anywhere between, I say, 500,000 to a million, or less than 500,000, your game didn't sell or something, right? So he's basically saying that that's not an excuse, because Nintendo has just as many, if not more, exclusive games that are franchises, exclusive franchises, and yet in that basically, like, you know, they all sell a lot. You know, Mario Kart Wii sold like 28 million or something like that. You know, you guys know, they, you know, those games sell a lot, and it's like, well, how come those games sell a lot, but PlayStation games, you know, mainly talking about the PS3, how not every exclusive game on the PS3 sells like that. That, you know, Sony's got a lot of, you know, first party exclusives. Nintendo obviously has a lot of first party exclusives, and he's basically saying how the Nintendo exclusives still do sell millions upon millions upon millions, like basically all the franchises, but Sony's just don't. So he was saying that you can't use that as a excuse. Now I'm basically now it's kind of sliding to the topic of the video, which is Sony versus Nintendo, new IPs versus old IPs. Now, we all know that not every PlayStation exclusive game or franchise is a new IP. We all know that. We're not stupid. I'm not saying anybody's dumb. But what this guy and what a lot of you other folks, preferably the Nintendo gamers, which I'm not trying to get on y'all, but what some of you guys got to understand is that the PS3 games like Infamous, for example, is a new IP. The Infamous franchise started in 2009, right? And if you want to compare that to something like Mario Kart, even though that's technically a spin-off game, it's not, well, okay, anyway, I don't want to get into that, but Mario Kart Wii, right? The Mario Kart Wii game sold, you know, millions and millions of copies. We all know that, right? The Mario Kart franchise has been around since the early 90s. Alright? The Infamous franchise has been around since 2009. Right? Now you just think about this for a second. You're gonna take a franchise that's been around since the 90s, a really good, not just some, you know, rinky-dinky, you know, shitty franchise, a really good franchise that's been around for almost 20 years. I'm 21. I was born in 1990. This Mario Kart came out when I was probably about 2-3 years old, right? So you take a franchise that's been out for damn near 20 years, a good franchise that's been coming out, you know, since Super Nintendo, the 64, the GameCube, and the Wii, and various Nintendo handhelds. It's been constantly staying in people's minds since the 90s. You know, Super Mario Kart, Mario Kart 64, Mario Kart Double Dash, Mario Kart Wii. You got the, you know, the Game Boy Mario Kart games. You know, the Nintendo handheld Mario Kart games. You got Mario Kart 7 that just came out. All these Mario Kart games that stay fresh in people's minds for years. One of the first big games to come out for the Wii that wasn't just, in my opinion, gimmicky motion control game. It wasn't a gimmicky motion control game. It wasn't, you know, Wii Play. Is basically what I'm getting at. So you have one of the first big games that's a stable franchise that's been around since the early 90s that hits the Wii at a time when, you know, there weren't a whole bunch of games. You know, you had, I think it's the same year that Smash Bros. Came out, if I remember correct. Right? And I'll get into that too. You got that comes out. Now, anybody that buys a Nintendo system is probably gonna know what Mario Kart. Anybody who has a Nintendo system knows what Mario is, the video game Mario, right? Not everybody that owns a PlayStation is gonna know what Infamous is, and that's not to say that the game is bad. It's a brand new IP, an exclusive IP. So not only is it a new IP, but this isn't Batman, this isn't Assassin's Creed, this isn't something like that that's on that's on, you know, the PC, the PSP, the 360, something like that. This isn't, you know, try to think of a multi-platform game that's also on the Wii, that's a new IP. I can't think of any on the top of my head. Like I said, I'm just kind of going top of the dome. I know someone's going to say that I'm ignorant. I don't know what I'm talking about because I like to go off the top of my dome and just stay fresh like that. But that's how I do it. And trust me, I do know what I'm talking about. But anywho, you look at, like I said, the infamous franchise. That's a new IP that's exclusive to one system. So that's already cutting up the market for just that one system. It's not like it's a widespread game across the 360, the PS3, and da 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 da, right? And it's a new IP. Not necessarily much that it's exclusive, but this is a brand new franchise on a console that really didn't even start selling until about 2009. And you're gonna compare that to something like Mario Kart, for example, or Super Mario Bros. Just Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, 3, Super Mario World, Super Mario Land, Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario Galaxy. See what I'm saying? There's been 2 infamous games, 2. And once again, it's not that those games are bad. People just don't know about it yet because it's a new franchise. I don't know how many times I played a game like Infamous or Uncharted or something like this, one of these new PS3 IPs, in front of one of my friends or even family members who had no idea before this game existed, knew nothing about the game. Some of them gamers, some of them not. Sit them down, HDTV, start playing Infamous. Oh my god, what game is this? This game is tight. Oh, you can shoot lightning. Oh, this is cool. You can climb around parkour. Oh, this is sick. Oh man, this game for the Xbox. Nah, it's PS3 exclusive, man. See on the corner, it says Sony Computer Entertainment. Oh man, I ain't know about this game. Oh, this PS3 game. Oh man, PS3 is kind of tight. Oh, I didn't even know. I didn't even know. This game is good. This game is tight. Numerous times I've heard this from peers about how great this game is, how great this game looks. They wish it was for their system. This game was so cool, and how they would buy the game, and they think about getting a PS3, this, that, and the other, and they wish they would have known about it when it first came out and all this stuff because they like the game. Now that they know it exists. There was a point in time nobody knew about Mario Kart. The game had to come out. This is the point that Mario Kart was a new IP. And now everybody knew what that was. Even living off of the success of Mario and making basically a spin-off, which, Mario Kart. Some games take time, okay? Not every game is going to sell 45 million copies, okay? So that's one. Let me look at PS3, Sony PlayStation developers, like the Sony Computer Entertainment developers. They make old, and new IPs. Some that Nintendo still needs to work on. And I know you guys are probably gonna bring up, games like Xenoblade and what's the game? Pandora. It's Pandora something. I was actually looking at a trailer of it earlier today. It's Pandora something. I don't think I wrote it down either. You see how prepared I am. You guys are gonna go ham. I already know, but I don't really care. But that Pandora game and Xenoblade, for example, you guys know what game I'm talking about. You Nintendo fans, y'all should know. Any guys gonna comment on it, correcting me, saying I'm stupid, you guys know what game I'm talking about, obviously. Now, those games are in Japan. I think one of them I think Xenoblade just hit Europe and it's supposed to be coming to America because due to the fans basically begging Nintendo to bring these games over to America, make it worldwide through the Operation Rainfall, campaign, whatever you want to call it. You guys are basically begging them to come out with these new IPs, which shows that there are fans, and there's obviously enough Nintendo fans who want new IPs. So what I'm about to say, I swear to God, if somebody says I'm wrong or that we don't need new IPs, you're full of shit. Because why would you guys be making a freaking Operation Rainfall campaign begging Nintendo to bring these new franchises that they published, not developed, published? Why would you want them over here in America then if you guys don't want new franchises that has the word Nintendo on the case? Like Pandora, like Xenoblade, stuff like that. See, now I'm about to get into is if Nintendo is so great, which I agree they are, they're the greatest video game company, period. Period. Just period. But if you guys really basically worship them this hardcore, and you guys, stay with them to the death through the GameCube days, through the the Nintendo Wii, through the 64, all that stuff, and would defend them to the death and all this stuff. You're telling me that you wouldn't want to see Nintendo make some new franchises? I'm not saying that they have to stop making Zelda and Mario and Metroid, Donkey Kong, Kirby, and all this stuff. Why can't Nintendo do both? If Nintendo was so much better than Sony, if Sony always copies Nintendo, was following their footsteps, it can never achieve the high plateau of Nintendo. Why is it that Sony can come out with games like Twisted Metal, which is an old franchise that's been there since day one on the PlayStation, and then come out with something like Uncharted, brand new IP, Little Big Planet, brand new IP, SOCOM, old IP, God of War, old IP, Gran Turismo, old IP, Infamous, new IP, Storm, new IP. I don't see this consistency from Nintendo. How come the Legend of Zelda developers by now haven't come out with a new IP all these years? Since the 80s, these fools have been making Zelda, helping people make Mario and back and forth. Mario people helping them make Zelda, this and the other. How come those developers haven't come out with some new IPs? Where they at? What are they? Name them, please. Get your keyboards out. Get your keyboards out and let me know. If Nintendo was this great, why can't they do that? Sony's doing it. I'm not saying that these games are better than Nintendo's by any means. I'm not saying that Uncharted or Little Big Planet or whatever PSG game you think is real good. I'm not saying those games are better than games like this. I'm not saying they're better than games like this. Okay, I have a GameCube. I have a Super Nintendo. I love those systems. Yeah, I just tossed it. I don't care. I'll fucking toss it. I got PS2s. I'm not saying that this game is better than the games I just showed. But why can't those developers that made those great games come out with new IPs like that? If they're this great, why are they relying so much on games like Mario and trying to live off of that legacy so hard? Do they not trust themselves? Do they not trust you guys? Are they afraid the same thing's gonna happen? Like what happened with, say, like Resistance 3, for example, that didn't sell that great. Are they afraid that you guys aren't gonna buy it? Are they afraid that you guys aren't loyal enough to support them, and that you guys will only buy the games that have been here since the 80s and the 90s? I mean, what is it? I don't understand that. Pandora Tower. I did write it down. It's right here. Pandora Tower. Which, once again, is published by Nintendo, just like how Gears of War is published by Microsoft, but made by a third-party developer. That's what I was going to say. Once again, I apologize for this really unorganized. I'm going to try to get more organized and stuff like that, but I know I look like a complete idiot. You guys are going to say I'm stupid, and I don't know what I'm talking about, and you didn't even prepare. Hey, this ain't my job. Oh, and then to all you Nintendo people saying, basically making it seem that, the Nintendo system or the Nintendo brand is so good, and it's so strong and all this stuff. Why is it that you guys play a lot of your multi-platform games on other consoles? If the Nintendo brand, the overall from original Nintendo to the Wii, the Nintendo company is so great and they make such great systems, why is it that 9 out of 10 you guys play your multi-platform games on other consoles? You know what I'm saying? Why is it that you guys try to make it seem like anybody else who doesn't play on a Nintendo system isn't a gamer, but you are if the Wii is your console of choice, but somebody says that the 360 is their console of choice or the PS3 is their console of choice, something's wrong with them. They're not a true gamer. But you could just be playing on the Wii and have a Wii only and everything's fine. And once again, to you guys who have Wii's and support it and that's your main system, but you could hop onto that PS3 or that 360 to play some of these other games though. So obviously, you know what I mean? So obviously there's still something by those other consoles that's bringing you over there that Nintendo's not doing. If they really are this great, they should be able to support you 100% to all your needs on one system. you should be able to get majority of your third-party games and obviously first-party games on one system. I'm not trying to sound biased, I'm not trying to hate, but you know goodness well which brand out of Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, out of the PlayStation, the Xbox, and Nintendo, you know which console is doing that the best of supporting third-party and actually having real first-party. I'm not gonna say who, but the main thing I just want to talk about is, as far as the folks on the internet that talk about how Nintendo games sell more than PlayStation, which is obviously true. The games are better than PlayStation games. Nintendo's a better developer than Sony. I'm not saying that, but you guys try to make it seem like the reason that they sell more is just because they're better. You guys try to act like there's no other reason why games like, the Mario series sell more. And once again, those games started in the 80s, 1985. Some started in the 90s. One of the last real Nintendo games that Nintendo developed, besides Wii Sports or Wii Fit and stuff like that, which if you want to count those, okay, fine. Like I said, I'm excluding Connect. I'm excluding move only games. I'm excluding Wii Sports and stuff. I'm basically talking about franchises that started before the Wii. Okay, one of the last new IPs that Nintendo came out with was Animal Crossing and Pikmin. And since then, it's basically been Wii Sports and Wii Fit and stuff like this. So you guys want to sit up here and compare Infamous, for example, to something like Super Mario Bros., for example, and say, oh, the reason that Super Mario Bros. Sells 20 times more than Infamous is because it's better, and that's it. There's no other reason. Maybe it's the fact that that game is older than a lot of gamers who play Infamous and that play Mario. Mario came out 5 years before I was even born. So obviously there's a whole, years and years worth of gamers who obviously are gonna know what the hell Mario is, who are gonna know what Metroid is and stuff like this. Those games came out in 85, 86, things of that nature. So of course eventually after decade after decade of those games being out, you're gonna know what the hell those games are. There's a chance that you've played those games by default because they've just been out. Those franchises have been around so long, they kept the games going on every system, which is smart as hell. That's good that they do it. I'm not trying to say that they shouldn't do it, but that's definitely the reason why those games sell more, because everybody knows what those games are. If you're a gamer, you basically have to know what those games are because they've been around too damn long. Infamous hasn't been around long enough to people to really even know like what the hell it is. And it's not because the game's bad. Like I said, there's been countless people that I've shown that game to who fell in love with it like that. Didn't know two shits about it, and all of a sudden was like, oh my god, this game is pretty cool. So don't sit here and try to compare apples to oranges, basically what I'm saying. Don't try to compare old Nintendo IPs to new PlayStation IPs. Even the old PlayStation IPs will be a new Nintendo IP, basically, because the oldest PlayStation IP from Sony was probably Twisted Metal, which came out in like 95, 94. That's still a good 10 years of games that Nintendo had before Sony even made the PlayStation, which is actually Nintendo's fault in the first place because Sony actually wanted to make a CD add-on for the Super Nintendo, like how Sega did with Sega CD. And Nintendo was like, okay, Sony, go ahead and make it. Yep, go ahead, cool. Sony made it, brought it back. Nintendo said, fuck you. We don't want to share money like that, even though you guys helped us make the audio chip for the Super Nintendo. We changed our minds. Fuck y'all. Sony's like, you changed your mind? Shit, what are we going to do with this thing? They was like, fuck it. We'll take a couple years, year or two, turn the CD on to a PlayStation. You know what happened? That console became the #1 selling console in the whole world. And so what does Sony do? They're like, oh, maybe we got something here. Maybe we actually, can do this. Whoa. Oh shit, like, what do you know? PS2 comes out. That became the #1 selling system of all time. And then all of a sudden, PS3 comes out, and here's all this hate from all these other gamers. Gamers, not Nintendo gamers, not Xbox gamers, talking about gamers in general. We should all be on the same team and not trying to hate on each other like this. So I'm calling everybody out, including myself. We need to stop hating on each other so much. We are all gamers. Whether you're playing on a GameCube, Dreamcast, Sega Genesis, PS2, original Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and you know, whatever, Nintendos, whatever, handhelds, you playing on the DS, whatever. We're all gamers. So stop trying to act like your console, your games are superior and using bullshit reasons as to why, when your franchises, well, they're not even yours, but the franchises that you love have been out decades before these other franchises. There was a time nobody knew what the hell Mario was either. Just like we got a Little Big Planet, people are starting to figure out what the hell that is. People are buying it. People are liking it. Does that scare you guys or something? Like, what is it? Don't compare an old IP, an established old IP franchise that continuously comes out every generation, to a brand new franchise, a brand new IP that's only been here for maybe 5 years on a hated console, and say that's the reason that's better is because it's just better. No shit, it is better, but it's also been out 20 plus years before. So no shit. You see what I'm saying? And once again, for you die-hard Nintendo supporters, I want to call you guys fanboys. For you die-hard Nintendo supporters, where your new IPs at? And once again, don't say you don't want one. Because if folks like you didn't want any, they wouldn't have made Operation Rainfall and be begging for Pandora Tower and Xenoblade, which games look sick as hell. I would love to play those games that are published by Nintendo. Kind of like how this game was co-published by Sony. You guys would obviously love those games to come over here to America. Brand new franchise with the word Nintendo on it. Some that us PlayStation owners get all the time. The Last of Us, Naughty Dog, new IP. What? Naughty Dog's making a new IP again? They just came out with Uncharted. Oh, okay, sweet, cool. Another new IP, boom. Man, I used to love playing Twisted Metal back in the day in the PlayStation. We should have kept. Oh, there's a new one coming out for real. Wait, what about this game that shows Sly Cooper, PS2 game? This was new IP in the PS2. Oh, there's a PS3 one coming out, a new one. Wait, so Sony develops and publishes old IPs from the PS2 and the PS1 era, and they keep those franchises going on the PS3, but I don't think Uncharted was on the PS2 or the PS1. Huh. So they're at least trying to come out with new games that may or may not sell because they're new and folks don't know about them yet, because not everybody's a big nerd like we are and actually look up gaming news every day or every other day and see what's coming out. Not everybody does that, so they might not know that The Last of Us is even coming out ever. Probably it's not going to sell as much as something like, I don't know, Mario that's been out since the 80s. Weird.